सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम्। ॐ श्री चिन्मय सद्गुरवे नमः। 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 सर्ववेदान्तसिद्धान्त गोचरं तमगोचरं गोविन्दं परमानन्दं सद्गुरुं प्रणतोऽस्म्यहं सद्गुरुं प्रणतोऽस्म्यहम्। Bhagavan Shankaracharya ji gave us two definitions of the word bhakti. He said out of all the ingredients which are needed for moksha, bhakti is the most important one. Moksha karana samagram bhaktireva gariyasi. First definition was swaswarupa anusandhanam bhaktihi iti abhidhiyate. Inquiring into my own true nature and abiding in the self is called bhakti. Second meaning was swatma tattvanusandhanam bhakti iti apare jaguhu. Other people say bhakti also means to meditate upon Bhagavan and invoke him with conditionings. So conditioning of jiva is kept. With that he says, I want to be one with Ishvara. Last class we spent some time thinking about the word anusandhanam. Swaswarupa anusandhanam. Anusandhanam means to own up. To own up very well is called anusandhanam. Now when it is said, own up the message of Vedanta, what is really meant is own up the meaning of Mahavakya. Mahavakya is that statement which points out the infinitude of the jiva, the oneness between jiva and Ishvara. One example of Mahavakya is Tat Tvam Asi. And when it is said, think about Mahavakya, what they really want to tell us is, along with Tvam Pada, think about Tat Pada also. Along with thinking, who am I? Also think about what is this world? Where has it come from? Where is it appearing? That is called as Tat Pada Anusandhanam. I can understand a sentence only when the words in that sentence are clear. So if I have to understand Tat Tvam Asi, along with Tvam, I should also understand what is Tat. That is the first message. Anusandhanam means I have to think about creation also. Then we saw there are two meanings of a sentence or any word. One is called direct meaning, literal meaning. Second is implied meaning. Direct meaning is called vachyartha. Implied meaning is called lakshyartha. In simple words, conditioned consciousness is vachyartha. Direct meaning. Pure consciousness devoid of conditioning is lakshyartha. And I can understand lakshyartha only when I am comfortable with vachyartha first. If I look at myself and only body, mind and intellect come, that is not even called vachyartha. When I see body, mind and intellect as conditionings of that consciousness, when I am able to see BMI, individual conditioning plus consciousness, that is vachyartha. Then when I let go of the conditionings, hold on to only pure consciousness, that is lakshyartha. Sometimes when we hear these two words, right? Vachyartha, lakshyartha, direct meaning, implied meaning, we feel vachyartha is inferior meaning. Actually, vachyartha is the doorway to lakshyartha. Only when I understand conditioned consciousness, I can shift attention to unconditioned consciousness. So when I see body, I should think of that consciousness which is enlivening the body. When I see the mind, I should think of that consciousness which is enlivening the mind. And when I look at creation, I should think of that consciousness which is giving existence to this creation. Seeing only object as object, tree as tree, is not even vachyartha. Seeing tree and consciousness is vachyartha. Seeing only consciousness is what? Lakshyartha. So Swaswarup Anusandhanam is a beautiful topic. In fact, the whole Vedanta stands on this. But we have to appreciate what is the path. Main takeaway, 2 points. Along with who am I should inquire into what is this creation. Second point, I can think of lakshyartha only when I have clarity about vachyartha. Conditioned consciousness first, then I can easily shift attention to unconditioned consciousness. Then 8 qualities of teacher were pointed out. Shrotriyaha, Avrujinaha, and so on. And what should a student do having met a teacher? What pleases a teacher? 3 qualities were mentioned. First one was prahvaha. Prahva means respectful body language. Unspoken respect. Prahvaha. Prashreha means humility in speech. Humility in speech. Vinayaha. Naya means to lead. One who is ready to be led is Vinayaha. Vinitaha also means that. Ni means to lead, one who is ready to be led. That quality is the second quality. And third one is seva. Guru pada pankaja seva, tisari bhagati amana. Serving without pride. That is the third quality which pleases the teacher. Now, having done this, having found the teacher to be pleased, Shankaracharya says we should ask spiritual questions. Prasannam tamanuprapya pruchet jnatavyam atmanaha. If there was one more word, he would say pruchet jnatavya atmana eva. Ask that alone. And Gurudev's explanation of this is hilarious, the way that he explains. Yesterday I was reading that Vedanta Through Letters book. Some devotee asks him questions about economic problems in the world. And his answer, he writes, this morning I had tummy ache. And people told me there is one Dr. Ramarao, who is a very good stomach doctor. I sat in the auto and I went. The auto driver said, I know Ramarao's place. I will take you there. He dropped me at his home. The moment I entered, I had to pay 25 rupees consultation fee to enter inside. I entered inside. Then when I was talking to him, I realized this is Advocate Ramarao, not Dr. Ramarao. Dr. Ramarao's house is opposite to Advocate Ramarao. And then he says, I was happy that I lost 25 rupees. Thankfully, I didn't get advice from him. He says, what will a lawyer tell you if you go with stomachache? He'll say, put a petition. Nothing more than that. He says, just like we don't ask plumbing questions to a doctor, legal matters to a plumber, we ask only their field. He says, spiritual teacher also has his field of expertise. Ask only those questions. The point is not to say we should not get perspectives on other topics. What it means is, even if we have some other question, final goal should be, how can I be a better sadhaka? Goal is very clear. When I start walking towards that goal, I find many obstacles as far as my day-to-day life is concerned. So even if I ask something, I am not changing my goal. I say that is where I want to reach. But this thing is currently obstructing me. What is the right perspective? That will still be a spiritual discussion. But if goal itself is worldly, then we need to ask somebody who is an expert in that field. Worldly goal means goal of this world. So economics question, economist. Medical question, doctor. Spiritual question, spiritual teacher. So this is what we had seen in the last session. Now the next verse onwards, if you have to enjoy it, you need to wear a special lens. And that is the lens of poetry. Don't intellectualize it. Don't start feeling, oh, what is this elaborate description of a simple idea? There is one Sanskrit verse which says, what is kavyam? Kavyam is kavyam rasatmakam vakyam. Poetry is that which brings dormant emotions alive. Kavyam rasatmakam vakyam. Tasya doshaha apakarshakaha. There are few qualities of a poetry which bring down its qualities, which brings down its rasa. Certain defects are there. That also they have counted. They say there are 5 defects in a poetry. First one is called as artha dosha. Poet wanted to say something, totally different meaning got conveyed. That is called artha dosha. Second dosha is called pada dosha. Pada dosha means erroneous use of grammar. And if you write poetry in Sanskritam, greater are the chances. Which word is parasmepadi, which word is atmanepadi. That is called pada dosha. Badati or badate. Third dosha is rasa dosha. Rasa dosha means it lacks emotions. That is called as rasa dosha. It's very dry and insipid. Fourth dosha is called alankara dosha. Alankara dosha. Alankara dosha means erroneous use of metaphors. Certain metaphors which should not have been used were used. And last dosha is called guna dosha. Guna dosha means it doesn't have elegance. The point is, Shankaracharya's poetry is free from all these doshas. Artha is perfect, pada is perfect, Rasa is exquisite. Alankara and guna, everything is there. I came across a very nice definition of art by Aristotle. He says, art is an imagination of life. Art is an imagination of life, but it is not merely copying real life. If you literally copy something, it will not be an art. He says, then what is art? Art is imaginative reconstruction of real life. Imaginative reconstruction of real life. So now in our case, the student is going and meeting the teacher. This is real life. He has samsara. Very real. And Guru is going to say, or student is going to ask, please teach me this knowledge. Now this is presented in a very poetic way. So next few verses, you can call it as Guru Bhakti Kavyam. Poetry of Guru Bhakti. Swamin Namaste Nataloka Bandho Karunya Sindho Patitam Bhavabdhau Mamuddharatmiya katākṣa drushtya Rejuvenates karunya sudha vivrishtya Swamin Namaste Nataloka Bandho Samnya Sindho Patitam Bhavabdhau Mamuddharatmiya katākṣa drushtya Rejuvenates karunya sudha vivrishtya. Swamin Namaste. 3 adjectives are used for the teacher. First adjective is, Hey Swamin, O Lord. Namahate, I bow down to you. Nataloka Bandho. Nataloka Bandho means the one who destroys sorrow of those who have surrendered. Dukkha mochakaha iti nataloka bandhuhu. One who removes sorrow from those who have surrendered. Second adjective is that. Third one is Karunya Sindho. Sindhu means ocean. Karunya Sindho, ocean of compassion. Hey Swamin, Hey Nataloka Bandho, Hey Karunya Sindho, Te Namaha. Now the student says, I bow down not only to the physical form of my Guru, but also to the knowledge that he embodies. Also to the abidance that he embodies, the disciplines that he embodies. That is something that I want in myself. He says, all of that I am bowing down to. Karunya Sindho. Now the next part belongs to the student. Patitam Bhavabdho, one who is fallen in Samsara. Don't read that together. Huh? Oh Guru, you are Nataloka Bandho, Karunya Sindho, and fallen in Samsara. Patitam Bhavabdho. He says, Bhava Abdho Patitam Mam Uddhara. When the student looks at himself, he finds a unique condition that he is caught up in. And that condition is general discontentment with what he is, general discontentment with what he has. And this thought that if I become somebody else, if I get something else, all my problems will be solved. This mindset is called as Bhava Roga. Bhava means to become. Right now what I am is unhappy. And he feels something else should happen in my life, then I'll be perfectly happy. And he says, I've been trying this lifelong. It has never stopped. That's why it is called as an ocean. If somebody falls in an ocean, he will keep swimming, swimming and swimming. Shore is not to be seen. Bhava Abdhi means that constant samsara in the form of becoming. Now remember, a sadhaka is also unhappy with what he is at a given point. He also wants to become better sadhaka. But we don't call that a samsara. Why? Because from sadhaka, he will go to Brahma. Beginning part of the journey is to say, from an ordinary person, I want to become a sadhaka. From sadhaka 1, I want to become better sadhaka. But end of the journey is not in better sadhaka. Culmination of the journey is in abidance in the self. Where the notion of individuality is removed, that is the culmination. But what is the common person's problem? He wants to become from one person to another person, one situation to another situation. That is called as Bhavaroga. Now he says, O Guru, please shower your compassion on me. Now this is the poetic pen of Shankaracharya ji. He says, how is the grace of my Guru going to come? Atmiya katākṣa drishtya. Previous verse he said, Mam uddhara, please lift me up. How should you lift me up? Drishti means glance. Katākṣa drishti means side glance. Atmiya katākṣa drishti means loving side glance. He says, with that loving side glance of yours, please save me. Chandrasekhar Bharati Swamiji writes, this is to show that student knows not to stand directly in front of the teacher. This is his respect that he is showing to his Guru. Even when we go to temple, we don't bow down to Bhagwan perpendicular. Little bit to the side we do it. That is the katākṣa drishti. And you will notice, if you look at Gurudev's picture, wherever he is seeing straight, that picture will create a different impact than any other picture. You must have seen Ramana Maharshi's picture also, where there is that piercing look. That is katākṣa drishti. So the sadhaka's prayer is, with that drishti, may you shower your grace on me. Mam uddhara atmiya katākṣa drishtya. Second meaning of katākṣa drishti is, may I be under your watchful eyes. May your grace and compassion be on me. Ramakrishna Paramahansa says there are 3 types of doctors. One who will just check your pulse, write a prescription, send you away. Second one will say, this medicine I have prepared with my own hands, and unless you take this medicine, you will not get cured. You will convince him. Third doctor, he says, will catch your head, put it on the table, put that medicine inside. He said there are 3 types of guru. First one will just give upadesha and leave. Second one will convince that person to be spiritual. Third one will make sure that he does what he is supposed to do. That request is called as Atmiya Katākṣa Drishti. On our own, we keep straying away. He says, hey Guru, I give you the authority to pull me back. That is the second meaning. First meaning was respect to the Guru, where the student says, I always will stand on this side. Third meaning is beautiful. Atmiya katākṣa drishtya. It is said in waking state, Jiva resides in the right eye. Jiva resides in the right eye. Dakshinakshi mukha vishvaha. Meaning what? If there is a person standing, let's say you went out for chai, and somebody was standing there looking in some other direction. Now you are in a hurry to go somewhere to your Bal Vihar class or something. You didn't want to talk at that time. You just went away. Later on you met that person. Even if you say, "Oh, I never saw you," that person might believe. But let's say he saw you and you also saw him. The moment eye contact happened, there is no way you can say we did not meet. So two eyes meeting is two jivas meeting. चार मिले 64 खिले 20 रहे कर जोड़ प्रेमी सज्जन 2 मिले खिल गए 7 करोड़. चार मिले, when 4 eyes meet, 2 of this person, 2 of that person. 64 खिले, 64 blooms, 32 of his teeth, 32 of his teeth. चार मिले 64 खिले 20 खड़े कर जोर. 10 his fingers, 10 of the other person's finger, they are standing with pranam. प्रेमी सज्जन 2 मिले, when 2 people meet lovingly, खिल गए 7 करोड़. 7 crore hairs which are on the body stand up in horripilation. That is the beauty of katākṣa drishti. Coming under the watchful eyes of the Guru is a great blessing for a Shishya. Now Shankaracharya says, from that the disciple is saying, the katākṣa drishti, what is there on me, that is like a rope. It's a straight rope which is there. It is sufficient for me to hold on and come out of samsara. See the next word, rujvya. Rujvya means straight. Arjuna word we have heard, right? Arjuna means what? One who has ruju swabhava, one who is straightforward. So he says the rays of grace which are coming from the eyes of my Guru, they are like a beam, they are like a rope. And I will hold on to that rope and cross or come out of this samsara. If you have seen in olden homes, they'll have a small glass opening on the top. And with all the smoke inside, with the fire and everything, you'll see a beam of light come. That is rujvya. So he says that beam of grace coming from my Guru, I will hold on to it and come out of samsara. Last one he says is ati karunya sudhabhi vrushtya. What is the beauty of this compassionate glance of my Guru? It is filled with compassion, karunya, and it is nectarian. Means whenever I am in samsara, it is sufficient to quieten that samsara for me. Karunya sudha abhivrushtya. Abhivrushtya means it is sprinkled. It is said when Vanaras, they died after the Rama-Ravana Yuddha, Bhagwan made everybody come alive just by his glance. And he is somebody who doesn't like to take credit. So he called Indra Bhagwan. And he said, you sprinkle this amrutam on everybody. And everybody feels, oh, we got up because of that amrutam. But Vanaras say, Bhagwan, we know what brought us to life. That is this one, ati karunya sudhabhi vrushtya. Now student says, hey Guru, this was your praise. Now you listen to my problem also. Where am I? Durvara samsara davagni taptam दोधूयमानं दुरदृष्टवातैः भीतं प्रपन्नं परिपाहि मृत्योः शरण्यमन्यं यदहं न जाने दुर्वारसंसारदवाग्नितप्तं दोधूयमानं दुरदृष्टवातैः भीतं प्रपन्नं परिपाहि मृत्योः शरण्यमन्यं यदहं न जाने. Poetry again, huh? Shankaracharya ji compares samsara with a forest fire. The student is telling his teacher, Durvara samsara davagni taptam. Davagni means forest fire. Samsara davagni, this samsara which is scorching me like forest fire. What kind of forest fire? Durvara. Durvara means I don't see any sign of this quietening down. Unquenchable, unstoppable samsara. He says that is scorching me. Now remember, this is Vivekachoodamani student telling. Huh? If we have to benefit from the advice given in Vivekachoodamani, we have to feel in this way. They say we have three primary tapa. One is called as Adi Bhautika tapa, from known sources. Something is not working, somebody is upset. All of those are sorrows coming from known sources. Phenomenal sources, storms, pandemic, that is called as Adi Daivika. And our own mind and body, sufficient, powerful enough to give problems, that is called as Adhyatmika. Now the student is telling, I have observed my life. By the time I fix one problem, another is waiting. In some parks, they have this musical fountain. Wherever you step, it will stop. But the moment you step here, some other fountain starts. This is precisely how he is feeling as far as his samsara is concerned. By the time he manages wealth, health demands attention. By the time he converts one enemy into a friend, friend becomes enemy. By the time he solves plumbing problem, heating problem starts. These are all tapas, different level tapas. And he is very keenly observing. And his analysis is, this seems unending. If it was non-bothering, then I would still be okay. What is that forest fire representing? He says, I find my mind constantly agitated. Whenever I look within, I find hatred sitting there. Whenever I look within, I find either raga or I find dvesha. Only thing is, people keep changing. Towards whom we have raga dvesha keeps changing, raga dvesha remain constant. This is analysis. We should just try to put ourselves in his shoes. See, unless a patient says, I have a problem, no matter how good the doctor is, he can do nothing. So here the student is accepting, this is my samsara. That is the first line. Durvara samsara davagni taptam. Yesterday I was sharing this with somebody. He said, Sohamji, our samsara is like whack-a-mole. Have you seen that in the arcade? Something comes out, you whack it, and you feel you have done the job, something else comes at that time. He said, whatever way we understand, we should appreciate this davagni. He says this Davagni is Dodhuyamanam. Dodhuyamanam we don't need to translate. Dhulai word you have heard? Same root. Dodhuyamanam means it is present continuous while getting beaten up. And Dodhuyamanam means repeatedly getting beaten up. Sanskrit words are also very precise. Present, continuous and repetitive. Duradrushta vataihi. See, if there is forest fire and if winds are in favorable direction, if they are blowing away from the city, it can still quieten. But if you have unfavorable winds, it becomes even more difficult. So the student is saying, my samsara is such. Anyway, there was forest fire. On top of that, there is unfavorable wind. What is this unfavorable wind? Our past papa karmas. When it was done, why it was done, nothing we know. All I know is I am seeing the result of it. Suddenly it comes from somewhere. He says, Duradrushta vataihi dodhuyamanam. This is where I am. Means karma phala, he looks at it as bondage. In totality, karma phala looks at it as bondage. Bhitam prapannam. He says, I have surrendered to you because I am afraid. Paripahi mrityo. Please save me from this fear of death. Death only represents different changes. Another name of death is fear of anxiety. Fear of uncertainty. Anxiety about uncertainty. That is this mrityu. Teacher must have said, find some other option. Why are you coming to me? He says, Sharanyam anyam yadaham na jane. Other than self-knowledge, other than gaining this knowledge, I don't see any other solution. It's a very deep realization. Student is saying, I might be imperfect, but I know I am on the right path. I might be far away from my goal, but I know I have the right goal. If self-abidance is our goal, one might say, we are far. But I know that alone is my goal. That is the meaning of Sharanyamanyam yadaham na jane. He says, I'm not going to go anywhere else. Whatever time it takes, this is the path I want to follow. This verse is very nicely depicted in Srimad Bhagavatam. Right after Kalya Mardan, the cows which were there are suddenly missing. And the Gopa boys, generally their attention would be on Bhagavan Krishna. But now their mind goes after the cows. So cow in Sanskrit is called go. So to go after cow, to go after go, is chara. Chara means to walk. Go chara. It's a play on words. Go chara also means sense objects. So whenever the mind goes after sense objects, Bhagwan's presence is as though lost. But whenever they wake up, very quickly they surrender to the Lord. And it is said Bhagwan speaks to the cows in their language. And all the cows are found. By the time they are all settled, forest fire starts. And finally Bhagwan drinks that forest fire. This is how that Leela ends. It is the same Davagni which is symbolic of restlessness of the mind. Next verse, the student says, this tendency to help is very natural to saints. He says, I am in sorrow, Even if I don't ask for help, I know you will help me. Shanta mahanto nivasanti santah vasantavallokahitam charantah tirna swayam bhima bhavarnavam janan ahetunanyanapi tarayantah Shanta mahanto nivasanti santah vasantavallokahitam charantah tirna swayam bhima bhavarnavam janan ahetunanyanapi tarayantah. Who are these saints? They are called as santaha, saintly people. Shantaha. First sign of a saint is peaceful. Shantaha. Second indicator is mahantaha. Mahanta means large-hearted. One who sees himself as self of all beings. Because of which he is able to put himself in other person's shoes and feel for even that person's sorrow. That is the meaning of the word mahantah. Another word which is very popular is Mahatma. Now see, Atma is the same for Ajnani and Jnani. It is not that Jnani's Atma is bigger, Ajnani's Atma is smaller. So what is Mahan then? Mahan is his understanding. Mahan is his understanding of I. Think of it this way. Different parts of the body are different from each other. Right hand is not my left hand. My head is not my toe. But do I feel I pervade or I exist in my right hand more than my left? Or I exist more in my toe, in my head than my toe? Every part of the body I pervade equally. Imagine somebody who has this I notion in each and every body. Just like I have in this body, one who has that I expanded to each and every being, that person is called Mahatma. Shanto Mahanto Nivasanti Santah. Next quality is Vasantavat Lokahitam Charantah. They move about for the well-being of everybody like spring season, the season that we are in right now. Commentator, he says, in every other season there is inconvenience. Grishma Rutu, summer season, too much heat. Varsha Rutu, very slippery, rainy season. Hemanta Shishira Rutu, winter season is too cold. This Vasanta Rutu is perfect. Puja Gurudev gives a very nice analogy or explanation of why are saints compared to Vasanta Rutu. When spring season comes, he says it doesn't go to each tree one by one, discuss with it and have it bloom. It doesn't convince the moon to be brighter nor the grass to be green. It just arrives, everything happens in its presence. So Gurudev writes, Santa Mahatma's job is that wherever they go, our sadhana, our bhakti, our sadhana chatushtaya, our mumukshutvam, everything becomes green. Just like nature becomes green, whatever is needed for moksha, that becomes lively in a sadhaka. That's why they are compared to spring season. Vasantavat lokahitam tarantah. Swayam bhima bhavarnavam tirnaha. themselves they have crossed over samsara. Arnavam means ocean. Bhava Arnavam means ocean of samsara. Bhima Bhavarnavam means ferocious ocean of samsara. Bhima means that one who has a terrible form, fierce form. Strangely, in Mahabharata, we don't know Bhima in this way. Whenever Bhima is described, either he is cooking in the kitchen or he is eating laddus. Very nice and cute Bhima. But if you look at his name, what it means is one whose form is so terrible, it makes the other person tremble. So such kind of samsara, they have crossed over. Then why are they going to different places? Anyan janan api ahetuna tarayantah. Because their nature is, having crossed, they want all of us to also cross over. Anyan janan api ahetuna. There is nothing, no personal gain they are going to get. But just because others can cross over, they go around like the spring season. One good example of Santa we find in Srimad Bhagavatam. When Parikshitji Maharaj is sitting on the banks of Gangaji, all other Rishi Munis come. Naradji feels compassion for him. He says he only has 7 days. When will he find his Guru? So he goes and meets Shukdevji, who was also sitting a little bit far from Gangaji. And he says there is a very deserving disciple, but only thing is he has 7 days left. So please go and teach him. Shukdevji Maharaj tells Naradji, you are a sadhu. You should not be too concerned about how will the disciple meet the teacher. If destiny wants, the Guru will meet the Shishya. Naradji hears this, and while this conversation is going on, there is a blind person walking towards the Ganga Ghat. Few more steps, he'll be in the water. Shukdevji Maharaj tells Naradji, Naradji, go and stop him, otherwise he'll fall in Gangaji. Naradji says, if he is destined to be saved, he'll be saved. And if he is destined to fall in the water, he will fall. Shukdevji says, this is not the time to be philosophical. First you save him, then we will talk. And Shukdevji understands this is the heart of a saint. He need not worry about Parikshitji. Without cause, the one who feels others' concern, he said that is the heart of a saint. In Ramcharitmanas also we saw Aranya Kanda. Jayanta goes and hurts Sita ji. And Bhagwan takes blade of grass, sends it after Jayanta. It becomes a Brahmastra. He goes to several places, nobody gives him shelter, including his father. Indra Bhagwan says, I don't know you. You challenged Bhagwan, Lord of the universe. Narada Deka Bikala Jayanta Lagi Daya Komala Chedasanta. Goswamiji writes, looking at this Jayanta who was in so much distress, Naradji felt compassion for him. One sadhaka told me yesterday, first he saw Bhagwan's prabhava. Now Naradji tells him, you see his swabhava. Means you go and surrender to him, then you see what he does to you. And if you have hurt Bhagwan, you should ask forgiveness from him. You hurt somebody and you are asking forgiveness from somebody else, that will not work. He said that is the heart of a saint. Panchadashi, Vidyananda Swamiji gives another example of a scorpion. One saint was sitting, he sees a scorpion in the river, goes and saves it, And that same scorpion comes back to sting him. Again it falls in the river. Again he pulls back. Again it stings. Again it goes back. Vidyananda Swamiji just stops there, but other people continue the story. They say somebody asked that saint, why are you saving the scorpion over and over again? So the saint says, when the scorpion is not letting go of its swabhava to sting, why should I let go of my swabhava to save? Because all of us function based on swabhava only. We cannot undo it. Neither can we ask, why are you doing it? If somebody has swabhava to get angry, you cannot ask that person, why do you get angry? He says, I am mama swabhava. This is my nature, you can't question swabhava. Nadyam kita ivavartam, avartantaram ashute. Just like that, insect keeps falling, jiva keeps going back into samsara. And Guru pulls that jiva out. What does the jiva do? Sting, go back. Some unique ability jiva has to get back into samsara. Anyan janan api ahetuna tarayantah. Now last verse is just a poetic description. Last verse of today's class. Ayam swabhava swata eva yat para shrama panoda pravanam mahatmanam sudham shuresha swayamarka karkasha prabhabhitaptamavatikshitim kila ayam swabhavasvata eva yat param shramapanodha pravanam mahatmanam sudham shuresha swayamarka karkasha prabhabhitaptamavatikshitim kila. Parashrama apanoda. Parashrama means other person's sorrow or tiredness. Apanoda means to remove. Pravanam means inclination. The inclination to remove sorrow of others. Ayam swabhavaha mahatmanam swata eva. This nature is inherent nature of a saintly person. Example is given, second line. Arka karkasha prabha taptam. Arka means sun. Karkasha means hard, scorching. Have you heard of Mrudu Vyanjana and Karkasha Vyanjana? Mrudu Vyanjana means soft consonant. Karkasha is hard consonant. Same Karkasha. Arka Karkasha, scorching. Prabha taptam, scorched by the strong rays of the sun. Kshitim. What is Kshiti? Earth. Bhagavad Gita class, we saw that word, Kshitishaha. What is Kshitishaha? King. We saw it twice today. Kshiti means earth, Isha means Lord. Lord of the earth is called King. So that same Kshiti. That earth which is scorched by the sun rays, Eshaha Sudhamshu Swayam Avati Kila. The moon cools down the earth without even asking. Neither did the earth ask, nor did the moon ask. He just goes and cools it down. In the same way, Santa Purushas, Sadhu Purushas, their swabhava is to remove the sorrow of others. So the moon example is given for Santa. 39th verse also is very poetic, but we won't do justice in this class if we start. If you have any questions, thoughts to share, this is a good time. You can raise your hand, that way they know. Is it on? Is it on, Shauriji? Doesn't have a switch.
Hari Om Somji. The first question I have is, there was a line in the book that says a sadhaka should tune with the teacher. What does it mean? Does it mean tuning with the scriptures, or I just wanted to understand this line?
Tuning with teacher is tuning with the vision of Vedanta. About Jiva, Jagat and Ishvara, whatever notions I might have had before the start of study, before starting to study Vedanta, having started to study, I should tune my vision to the main essence. So Vedanta is telling us Jagat is unreal. Guru is also telling us that. So what does it mean to tune with Guru? To tune with that understanding that Jagat is unreal. I might not fully accept it, but I know that it is not incorrect. That way.
Thank you. Another question I have is when it was mentioned that when we look at things in the world, we should see consciousness behind everything. So when it comes to sentient beings, it still is relatively easier to imagine. But when we see jada vastus, stones or anything else, how does one see?
Very good. Actually, there are two ways to think about it. One is to say in simple words, just like consciousness is present in a sentient person, that same consciousness is the substratum of inert things also. Even in sentient person, consciousness doesn't become an object of sense organ. I only infer because of the movement that the person is doing. Even in a sentient person, consciousness is not an object. So similarly, in other inert objects, consciousness is very much there, but it doesn't have the medium to express. That is one way. Second way is to say, where is that object appearing? Let us say if I look at the mountain, that mountain is appearing in my thought. That thought is appearing in consciousness. The catch in the first one is you might make consciousness an entity outside. Second approach, we will bring Chaitanya in first person. Instead of stretching consciousness outside, you bring the world inside. Pashyannatmani maya bahirivo. Because of Maya it appears out, actually it is appearing here. Okay, good.
Hari Om Somji. I have a question about people who, or at least, let's say you've seen a person who is unnecessarily drowning in the senses, and you're able to comprehend that and you're able to see it. Just like the example that you gave between Naradji, do you actually go and tell them to help correct their behaviors? Or do you stop? And how do you do it without inserting your ego in it? Because you have to be very careful about that.
You mean tell other person or tell myself?
Tell the other person. Myself, I know that I'm also doing the same thing, but at least I can perceive that they are doing it even more, perhaps.
Yes.
Somehow that perception is there.
We should guide only if it is our responsibility. Right? That is the bottom line of guidance. Before I give any guidance, I should ask myself, is that a responsibility which is given to me? So as a parent, they will have responsibility towards the child. But if it is somebody else who is doing something, no need.
But if it is like a brother or a sister or a friend or a husband or a...
We should do it as sadhana. Guidance for others is not our social work. Guidance for others is, through that guidance, may I get clarity in my path. Otherwise, it's very frustrating. Somebody wants to do or not, how can we control? But if it's our duty, then we can do it as a sadhana.
Thank you.
Hari Om. We have few announcements. Jignesh bhai. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.